Hey there, CIS 170. Welcome to session 6 out of 8, which means we should all be alarmed at just how far we've come and just how little we have still to go. In this session, we are covering two chapters, chapters 8 and 9. And really here, please do the following. Consider them one big, long chapter. Don't consider them separate chapters. So this is a big caveat, but what I want to do is hopefully help set you up for as elegant and not problematic, if that's a word, an experience as possibly could be with chapters 8 and 9. In chapter 8, what we do is we introduce the idea of modular programming design. Everything that we have done to this point, irrespective of how large your projects have been, has been concrete sequential. So you have gone top to bottom, left to right, exclusively in that order, and we have not really in any eloquent way dealt with what happens if we need to repeat portions of our code again and again and again and again. If we didn't have the idea of a module, and a module is just a small single-purpose block of code that does one thing and one thing only. So it would be something like print name is a fantastic example of a module. You'll never guess what it does. It prints a name. How about set user score? You'll never guess what it does. It sets a user score, and that is all that it does. It does not return values. It does not print anything else out. It simply does what the module name suggests that it does. And one of the keys to success that I give you in the chapter 8 material is, say, if you can use the word and as a conjunction when you are describing what a module does, you probably need to break it up into two modules. So what does this module do? It sets a user score and prints it. That's really two modules. What does this module do? It sets a user name and prints it. Two modules. And what is the point of having these itty bitty little pieces of single-use code? What ends up happening is, as your developments get larger and larger and larger and larger, and invariably your developments rather are going to do just that. They're going to get larger and larger and larger and larger. What modular design enables you to do is go back later on, and if you need to make one small granular change, we no longer call them customers, we call them clients. So that would be a pretty drastic change that we would need to make in untold number of places in concrete sequential programming, because we might refer to customers as customers instead of as clients all the time. With modular design, we can say, well, we've got a print client module. We'll just go there, and whenever we print the word customer previously, we'll change that to client, and we're all done. And that's it. And that is the power of modular design. Everything is built like a Lego brick. That's the example I use in the chapter 8 material. Is as long as you have just one little itty bitty Lego brick, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? Okay, great. It's a little yellow 4-bubble piece. Whoop-de-doo. Well, when you start adding a bunch of those together, now we've got some structure. When we put those little 4-bubble bangers, whatever they're called, blocks, I suppose, in together with a larger group of blocks, suddenly we have, a castle, we have a spaceship, we have something that we can use. So from those small itty-bitty single-function code blocks comes big developments. Now, chapter 9, and really what I want you to do is read 8 and 9 together like they were a mega chapter, talks about printing. Now, hold up. report writing really genuinely still is the way that in business we can communicate the idea that we took data in, all this stuff that we've been collecting that in and of itself means nothing. And we can communicate that data as trends and forecasts to you in the way of information. And the way we make that information convey actual meaning to another user is a report. So I know that's not what you wanted to hear. I know there are two of you, at least, who were like, nah, I'm getting into this so I can go be a video game designer. Sure. And in the meantime, get paid making reports. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of careers because every business needs a way to take all of that disparate data that doesn't mean anything and aggregate it into information that does mean something. Now, why do I think that 8 and 9 should go together? Because the examples in 8 are crummy. They are superficial. They are this deep. And as a whole, they don't make a ton of sense. If you can just suspend disbelief until you can read chapter 9 and see the much larger, much more detailed, actually useful modules that we see there for report writing, you'll really see the value of modular design as opposed to concrete sequential for everything. And as a matter of fact, next week, when we cover chapters 10 and 11, the names challenge relies on modular design as opposed to, strictly speaking, concrete sequential design like we have done previously. So those are the new bits of material and kind of the structure for how I would approach it, and the structure that I have seen has been the most useful for students if you approach it in that way. That 8 and 9 are really chapters 8A and 8B that, even though they deviate a little on theme, they really truly are connected by the idea of modular programming. Over the course of this week, I do believe that I had gone back through. I wanted to put it here in a video, though really I should have made its own video. I'll still think about it. I did go through and rescore everybody's midterm. Overall, I think everybody did really well. There was, the thing that Eagle does where it takes points off for no reason. It does that sometimes where, you didn't capitalize and it has no sense of humor for object-oriented as OO as opposed to capital O, or capital O, lowercase o, which can be infuriating. Do please go back over. I actually went over everybody's quiz 2 times, question for question, to make sure that I could reclaim for you every point that you had earned. And I'm not always accurate. There are times where I miss glaringly obvious things that you had answered very, very nearly to what the answer was. So you should still be able to see those. You are still more than welcome to reach out via messages and say, hey, look, this one is still marked wrong. I still think it should be this. I am willing to communicate with you on that idea. And then you will have the session 7 or the chapter 7 end of chapter exercises. You will see that those are scored, and you will have until the end of this session to get those resubmitted, not the challenge problems, just the exercises. So that is a long intro or overview rather video, and I hope they're not all like that. So that is what is on your plate for this week 170. Do take a look immediately under this diatribe is a what to take now that you have taken CIS170. Do consider immediately signing up for, we have a summer version of CIS276 that is C++. It is what you are going to very probably need next after completing this course. And we have, at the time of this recording, 1 seat available in fall, which means you should take it over summer too, so that you don't have to wait until spring of 2022 in order to take a course that is necessary for 8 of your program strands. So make sure that you are really considering doing that. Watch the video, listen to it. If you would like any help with registration, what you should take, what you should aim to take in a year, if what you are taking is in fact going to get you the job that you think you are aiming for later on, please don't rely on online services to tell you if all of those things are true. The instructors in the programs know things that online services doesn't tell you. Some classes are only available every other year. We know that. Online services is like, yeah, it'll be in fall. It doesn't really go ahead and tell you it's only in fall of even numbered years. Things of that nature can really muck up your graduation timeline. So don't do that. We are working with 2 students right now as CIS in general that thought they had everything they needed to graduate in May, 3 weeks from now, and won't, because they don't. Online services thought they did until it gets to the graduation requirements. This happens every year. Please don't do that. It doesn't have to be to me. Please talk to Stephanie Washer. Please talk to me. Please talk to Jim Conley. Please talk to Chuck Kunkel. All of us know better than online services does for what it is that you might well need. So there is your ultra mega overview for session 6, which is crazy. So have at it 170, and as always, reach out if you have questions along the way.